Everyone. We're here and we have a lot more energy because we decided to take a day off and just rest for a sec. So, shoutouts to rest because sometimes you need it.
Woo!
So, normally we do these recaps and we start with A tier and then go through B1, but we have already done both of those. They're on my YouTube already, and potentially I'm going to be stitching this to the start of the first one, so it's probably just in the first half.
Hate to interrupt, but I need your arboreal arms. It's back there. Yeah, but those ones were on the car. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So we already did A tier and B1. You're welcome. On Monday night, and took yesterday off, and are gonna finish up B2, C1, and C2 today. Welcome back from the ads. That actually timed out perfectly. So this is a quick preview of the way the B2 tier looks. Once again, shoutouts to everyone who was able to make playoffs. This was definitely another really close playoff race for sure. And yeah, we'll see how that happened, I guess, this week. First up is the game between a guy and Illuminant. Did I even open this in the right order? I did. Okay. So I got to cast this game, and for the first time and probably only time, I was actually casting with webcam and got to be Pom Pom Buren for Halloween, so that was fun.
You little cutie.
Typical of all of the Halloween games. Also, thank you. Typical of all the Halloween games, somehow we ended up having Night Manor on the card with the Night Manor gold disc, which I wanted to point out. We saw both players kind of just immediately hop into the games that they wanted to get goals in. There is good reason to be in Pin Golf as well as grab the Night Manor gold disc and get started on Pilot Quest. Pin Golf mostly for that center square that is very fast. Even if you don't get every single hole in one run, just playing Pin Golf in general is a pretty fast game and also counts for a good gold disc. And as we get a little bit farther into this game, already a guy is starting to threaten this diagonal that unfortunately will take a little while. Luminant does have Pilot Quest going and is working on some quick goals while also trying to get some general synergy here, if I remember correctly. And then we have another interesting situation where players are kind of just both directly pushing their own bingo lines here. Luminant's quest into Pilot Quest is actually helping both block this diagonal as well as push her own row 5 bingo, while a guy is grabbing a pretty quick Rock on Island goal and surprisingly actually able to use Rock on Island for a boss, which you don't get to see very often. Yeah. And with all of Luminant's progress in Pilot Quest, she was also able to beat a boss here, so shoutouts to this match having a pretty rare Pilot Quest and Rock on Island as the first two bosses killed. Defeat a boss in 6 different games directly helps this top line bingo, in case it's hard to read, by the way, so players are definitely pretty aware of that. A guy blasted through a tactics and was able to block Luminant stuff while also pushing a new bingo line. We also got to see a little bit of Block Koala because it starts to push another bingo line. I mentioned this a lot in the last video / the first half of this video, I guess. But players this week definitely showed their growth throughout the season and were able to push like multiple bingo lines at once. And even just in this game situation, we have the top row bingo, which is the one that a guy actually ended up getting eventually. The diagonal bingo this way, the diagonal bingo this way, and the vertical this way that are all being threatened right now. And as a player, it's pretty tough to really even know where to go there just because so much stuff is happening at once. So Luminant kind of just popping in to try to get the quick goals and just get some presence on the board. Meanwhile, Guy is using his progress. I didn't mention it earlier, but there actually is also double block koala synergy here, where Guy was able to go beat 3 Eastern levels for this square, and then also make progress for the beat 9 story levels in this one. So while Luminant is forced to block all of the other goals, he's using his time to make progress in all of those top goals at the same time, basically. And yeah, it's a tough position to be in because even though Luminant's not really down that much in terms of like score, the spaces that she has are again a little bit more defensive rather than like connecting together for her own bingo threats. And even when she is doing a good job of like catching back up and trying to push advantage, Guy's kind of just been working on a bingo this entire time that Luminant hasn't really touched at all. We do eventually see a little bit of a boss rush and a little bit of a gold disc rush. But then after a guy grabs that boss space just because of all the progress he's had, we do get another head-to-head block koala, but sort of similar to the game that I had with Keeney, where Keeney had a little bit more progress in block koala just because of the stuff that they were able to do earlier in the game. A guy directly getting that block koala space and just effectively having a 3-level advantage in this race proved to be a little bit too much to overcome, and the guy eventually picked up the bingo win. Every game that Guy hopped into was pretty fast. The only game that even had like any kind of extended play really was Seaside and Tactics, just because those are longer goals anyway. And yeah, Luminant played well this game, but just unfortunately didn't see the threat of that top row bingo as much as the Guy did. So GG's to both, and yeah, good luck to a Guy in playoffs. Alright, next up is Adore versus Decky. I feel like this week in particular kind of had a lot of these 5-2 bingo wins that you don't see very often, where a player just immediately identifies a line that they're very comfortable with doing and just kind of blast it out. And
I don't think pizza's stuffed with drama.
Yeah, I think Monique understands the format of a joke, but doesn't understand actual...
That's not a joke format. That was kind of you to try to, like, say,
but I don't think it understands comedy in any way, shape, or form. No.
a joke format, so... She don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah. So... As you can tell by the VOD length here, this game is pretty much just Adore pushing this bingo line while Decky's working on some other stuff. Decky's struggling a little bit, and the Cyberel's clear Hong Kong using only Road Toad goal, and Adore able to pick up the Vinger goal before hopping into Onion Delivery here. This Onion Delivery goal of hit 6 time boxes in one day and complete the day is actually one of the only Onion Delivery goals that has like documentation in the resource doc. and it is like one consistent route through the city when you know it. So definitely a pretty quick goal, and I definitely, looking at this, understand why Adore identified and pushed that line pretty fast. In general, this looks like a board that kind of has a lot of quick goals, so kudos to Adore for identifying that right away and going with it. So now starting to push the gifts while also working on other stuff, I assume. While Decky is then starting to work on this diagonal bingo, which does also require gifts, which he's already slightly behind on, but I guess a little more devastatingly includes winning a full War on Night difficulty in Lords of Disconia, which is an absolutely brutal center square, and I don't blame Adore for just deciding to not deal with that at all. So eventually able to grab Bug Hunter, and then I think at this point it is pretty apparent that that column 4 bingo is being pushed. Adore does hop into Big Bell Race a little bit sooner than Decky does, and that time allows them to push the advantage for that column and turn it into a gift rush. It looks like it was actually a fairly close gift rush from what it seems, and then just barely able to clutch out the gift rush 8-5 and push that bingo in 40 minutes, 34 minutes.
I did not see what she called for.
I think people are starting to get better at identifying an immediate bingo line and pushing it, so kudos to Adore for being one of those people. And GG's. Alright, so next up is a very full board. Shoutouts to Liz and Cuth for pushing a 13-9 victory.
Like, unless we actually enjoyed it. She called him Spud. Yeah, original girl.
Liz able to grab the 13-point win, and Cuth putting up a pretty good fight along the way, it looks like. So first things first, beat 2 levels in 8 different games is a pretty fast center square, but not one that I think you need to immediately rush in this sense. But a little unsurprisingly, I guess, if Magic Garden's on a card that Liz is playing, she's going to go for it, and eventually is able to grab that space and Mooncat in the time that Cuth Gold Disc Spellgress.
Follow Cyanine Green and follow Cyanine Blue. I wonder what color they would make. Follow Cyanine Teal, obviously.
But after making a little bit of progress, Cuth does decide to rush that center square and block it up 2-2. 2 levels in 8 games is definitely fast enough that if you want to rush it, you can, for sure. I forgot that's how that game started when I was opening with that commentary, if I'm being honest. I did watch this game, but I forgot about that part. But that's okay. So I remember this game being very back and forth the entire time, and either player directly pushing bingo opportunities really and just trying to grab all of the fast spaces that are on the board. I will say shoutouts to Cuth for almost completely rushing Alpha Trilogy, which is definitely one of the harder general goals. Rushing 2 levels in 8 games makes sense because that one's a pretty consistent route, but busting out Alpha Trilogy that quickly into a match and having it synergize with other stuff is definitely good. And when you can collect 3 gold discs from games on this card and have all 3 of them just be Alpha Trilogy, that's definitely helpful. And meanwhile, Liz has been working on some pretty safe, consistent goals. She's doing a good job of just picking stuff up quickly, and eventually is able to start to push a little bit more of an advantage and then kind of maintain that gap through the rest of the game.
Oh?
Both players are able to advance the Bushido Ball gold and mini max goals,
She's like,
and then match the other Bushido Ball goal with that quick Night Manor goal. So both players did a really good job of identifying that this game had a lot of quick boards on it, and just trying to make the progress in these quick goals while they can. Like at this point, even though it's 9-7, there's still quick goals, such as under par on 5 courses in pin golf, win 2 games in a row in hot foot without jumping, and even beat the second scare in Fistel are all really quick goals that are still available at this point in the game. And like not even because the players like don't want to do them, just because there's been other quick goals too. And eventually we do see those goals start to go away. And with the 13th game, Liz playing Seaside Drive is equally unsurprising. And able to grab top 5 on 4 different arcade leaderboards and win 13-9. So both players did a really good job this game. I think they went tit for tat with the goals that they were getting.
You know what? No, I haven't used any of the turbo door cans on it.
Gonna have to fill up that water in a little bit, but that's okay. Both players did a really good job of getting the goals that they were going for, and the 3 goals that were left on the board, I feel like were only there because they ran out of time after majority. Both players definitely looked comfortable enough to be able to grab whatever they wanted this game, and that was a good job by both of you. Good luck in playoffs, Liz, and good luck next season, Cuff. I think I forgot to say good luck next season, Decky, in the last match, so good luck. Alright, next up we have Grape versus Hackeroni. Both of these players are going to be matching up at some, or I don't know if they're going to be matching up, but they're going to be playing each other in playoffs as competitors, I guess. But one thing that I immediately want to identify with this board is the center square of Bushido Ball Gold Disc with default options. I think this isn't even the first time that that happened this week, if I remember correctly. But once again, a very, very hard center square. And just looking at this board, everything that's left on here is hard, so... So, at the beginning of this match, as I've kind of mentioned on a couple of other games, players just doing a good job of grabbing their quick spaces. Grape does go up 3-1 pretty early and start to mostly threaten this row 2 bingo. I can understand not immediately trying to rush to block that at this point, just because there's a lot of quick stuff still. And Hackeroni is using that time to start to make progress around the board. Meanwhile, Grape is just having good success in everything that he's trying to do here, and immediately putting Hackeroni kind of in a weird position here, where both of the first rows of bingos are being threatened, as well as potential diagonal that way. And once again, as we've seen in a couple of matches, when you go down early like this, it can be kind of tough to even know where to go to start blocking stuff, really. Luckily for Hackeroni, both of the bingos that are currently being threatened at least take a little bit of time and or are very difficult to do. Hackeroni quickly identifying that a gold disc rush, I assume, maybe not a gold disc rush here actually, but golds are likely to be the best way to block this row 2 bingo. And down 9-4, it is pretty difficult to really block everything in this game and do everything that you need to do. And after a head-to-head rail heist, where Grape is able to just barely win that, Heckaroni's kind of again forced into just trying to rush and grab goals and try to block the bingo. Unfortunately, even though they are able to start grabbing spaces, do attempt. Is this regular Yamada play?
Metallic. This one says Dragon Flash.
You don't normally get to see Yamada in the gold disc with default settings. I don't know, it's just the gold disc. But sorry, I remember watching this game, but I apparently forgot how the end of it went. So Grape is now up 11-6, and mostly just still threatening this Road 2 bingo in terms of bingos, but also when you're up by 5 spaces, kind of just trying to go for goals that you want to go for at this point, that you feel confident that can close out the game. And especially after Heckaroni is able to grab their last gold disc to be able to block that bingo, it's definitely going to come down to majority, at which point Heckaroni kind of has to grab every single, or almost every single goal that's on this board in the next 20 minutes, which is a pretty tough ask. Like, even if these squares weren't being contested, grabbing a Bushido Ball gold disc on default options, honestly, even just leveling up twice in Valbraize can take a while. Reaching stage 4 of Campanella 3 takes a while. Scoring 25k in Rakshasa, if you're not doing Pine's like score minute thing, is at least like half of the second stage. So knowing that Grape is just going to pick a goal and kind of hang out in here for a little bit. Luckily for Heckaroni, they are able to grab the Kit Club, and did they also grab top 5 there, or did they already had top 5? Able to grab the Kit Club goal and then actually face Grape in a head-to-head party house. Grape is able to also win that one, unfortunately. So a couple of head-to-heads that went Grape's way, I think, are the main deciding factors in this match. Because if either of those go to Heckaroni, this game is pretty neck and neck heading into the final bit of it. But Grape does grab the 13th square with Rakshasa 25k with a minute left. Hi Nitro, how's it going? Good to see you.
A little bit more green. How could I make it more green? Maybe if I add this green?
What color are you trying to make green?
Teal. It's like the sweat teal right here.
If the green doesn't work, you could add yellow.
I'll see.
Recap time, hell yeah. We're about halfway through Tier B2 right now. And since people are here, I'll just remind again. We already did A and B1 on Monday. So if you want to check out my YouTube, which I'm sure Nightbot will eventually plug, we should have those parts there. And I'll probably end up stitching this together at the end of the last one. But gotta get there first, so. So next up is Pigeon Pat versus Ivan. Another very hard, well-fought game. Ivan was able to grab the 11-6 bingo win after getting Road 2. And another game with a bingo, and once again want to reiterate that I think players got really, really good this week at just identifying their bingo threats and starting to work towards them. I think players are also getting a little bit better at like not immediately giving away that they're going for a bingo line. Because as you can see in this match, it's a pretty good back and forth. Kind of like in B1, Tier B2 had a lot of players that were pretty neck and neck, even if their records maybe weren't. And we can see in this game that players are definitely going back and forth on this. And Pigeon Pat holding close with a 3-2 lead, 13 minutes in.
You
Or
trying to be some sort of scientist?
not lead, but I flipped it in my head. That's okay. Meanwhile, Ivan's doing a good job of running through and getting a quick pin golf gold disc. This hole-in-one on 3 different courses can sometimes be more time-consuming than you expect it to be, just because 2 of the hole-in-ones are available right away, and then you got to do like 7 levels in between to even get another chance at it.
I didn't take chemistry for a G. Blech.
Bleh.
Sorry.
It's okay. It was like me in high school when I took physics just because I had to. Or not because I had to, but because I wanted to.
Because you want to.
Yep. But that was a pretty good science class to take just because I wanted to be honest. So eventually Ivan is able to start to push this. Oh, that's good.
This yellow-green?
Good. Eventually Ivan is able to push this 5-2 lead and again start to threaten the couple of bingo lines. I think we saw that kind of a lot this week, where players kind of scattered their shots around the board but still were threatening completely different bingo lines that could have forced players to block them. It looks like Pigeon Pat is just taking some time to block in and start to work on that goal though, which, fair enough. Block wall is pretty fun. Meanwhile, Ivan is doing a good job of just slowly but steadily making progress on the goals that he needs to. After having that many levels of progress in Big-O Race, it makes sense to stay in for the gold disc and then just try to grab those pretty quick. After grabbing Pigeon Pat is able to grab the block wall goal, so shout outs to them because 9 levels and block wall can sometimes take a while. We do see Pigeon Pat pop into Pilot Quest to be able to start that progress, while Ivan is looking like at this point he's still grabbing some of the other spaces that are on the board, like Find an Egg in 10 games. And that work, and I already had the Warp Tank one. Shoutouts to Pigeon Pat for grabbing the center square, but unfortunately at this point in the game, the center square is like blocked off in every bingo that it helps.
Sorry, mine just did not require
And
that
at this
all,
point,
so,
Ivan's pretty successfully pushing both this bingo and this bingo at this point. 25% completion in Golf Area is actually a pretty fast, very hard if you like happen to know the route, but I didn't know the route until Violet taught it to me, so if you don't know that route or haven't looked at the resource doc or whatever, it's definitely a pretty tricky one. So I've been using the time that they think they're baiting Pigeon Pat into by forcing that bingo line. We'll be able to just grab some gold discs and also grab the hiding spot in Night Manor. And given the extra progress that Ivan was able to start to put into Pilot Quest at the end of this game, is eventually able to grab the Zoldynax that he needs and activate teleporters. Also got a letter, but why not? At this point in the game, there's not really a ton that Pigeon Pat can do. And I imagine Ivan's probably thinking that Pigeon Pat is trying to block the Golf Area 25% in the time that they've been able to set up the other bingo.
Wow, it's
And
wild how the moment I
luckily
touch
for
the
them,
canvas, I'm like, wow, I feel better already.
yeah. And then able to grab that row 2 bingo in just over an hour. So good job of setting up one bingo line that they potentially didn't even really want to do, just to get ready on another bingo line that they did want to do. And good luck to both players going forward. Okay, next is a 13-8 win by Toots over Stu.
Those because they transferred?
this is another game that both players did a really good job of threatening bingos and then by their own blocks being able to kind of push both blocking other bingos and also working on their own. You have seen this strategy kind of a lot where players will spend the opening like couple of minutes just trying to grab what other quick spaces they can and then kind of reassessing after a couple of minutes to try to push their own bingo lines. At this point in the game, Stu is, I guess, more directly threatening a bingo, but it's 20-ish minutes in. Toots does have a little bit of trouble in the gym. Unfortunately, I understand this pain all too well because I had a game earlier this season where I got stuck in the gym, and I didn't even have to use Cat in that round. We do unfortunately see that there was a wave 6 death that Toots had to deal with, and meanwhile Stu is already grabbing the top of the... Alright, that was loud as fuck. Stu is able to already start to grab the top of the board and work on the column 1 and row 2 bingos. Still pretty far off of both of them, but I feel like you at least have to, as a bingo player, be kind of aware of when those bingos are starting to form. And especially after Stu is able to grab that Bushido ball goal, Toots is pretty much immediately forced into camouflage to try to escape with all of the collectibles on 5 levels, while Stu is working on Danger and some other fast goals that are still available on the board. Definitely makes sense for Toots to go for this goal even if you're not like 100% comfortable with camouflage, just because that is a pretty obvious bingo line forming. And same for the Festel goal that he was previously working on. And then as Toots is able to grab a couple of quick Campanella and Waldorf squares, suddenly the script turns and Toots is already threatening his own bingo line down in the bottom. Does give the onion delivery, hit 6 time boxes in day and complete the day goal shot, and is able to grab it. And then all of a sudden, just a couple of minutes after another bingo threat, Stu is now forced into the same situation, but for Metroidvania, of kind of investing a bunch of time into a goal that he maybe wouldn't do otherwise, just to grab block here. Also, sorry, my screen was apparently cut off for a lot of this, but hopefully that fixes at some point. Hi Hugh and Tyler, how's it going?
Oh, apparently your nickname is Windy.
You get around 9 deaths with Cat this week? I'm sorry. The gym can be really mean, and even when you're doing everything really well, the gym is just a little brutal sometimes.
And then thinks that you're the one who said it? Okay.
It's an AI chatbot for you.
A nickname, but both of us didn't see it. So I couldn't remember what it was, and you didn't even know that she...
So Stu is eventually able to grab Metroidvania, and as he's done so, Toots has already put Stu in a position where now he has a couple of bingo lines to block. It makes sense theoretically to try to either grab gold discs or clear level in Mortal 1, but that little bit of indecision that Stu had to pause there put him a pretty solid like level behind here or so, and kind of pushed a little bit more by Toots just playing a little bit more cleanly. Toots is now immediately threatening this bingo as well as also this bingo. And even though there's some bingos being threatened, still just trying to grab the quick spaces that are on the board, and eventually Toots is able to chill in Seaside, grab the gold disc, but at that point, the game is 13-8, and even though Stu doesn't have the 3 gold discs, is able to grab the Seaside Drive gold discs and win by majority. So another really back and forth game. I think both players. Oh no. So with that loss, Stu fell to 9th and just barely missed out on playoffs. But you can tell by both the record and the play of both of the players in this game that both were. This is effectively a playoff game, just a week early. So GG to both, and definitely looking forward to seeing what both y'all do in the future. Okay. This Castlevania music keeps popping up, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how much I love it. I normally like Castlevania music, but that specific playlist is a little hype in a weird direction. Okay, so next up is Thumpus versus Trudy Fruity. Trudy was able to pick up a 7-5 bingo win by grabbing the diagonal here. And once again, we have another pretty direct bingo threat. What's wrong, baby one?
It was like 2 green. I added white, and now it's more green.
Oh.
It's fine. Figure it out.
I'm sorry. So after a Night Manor gold disc rush and Overbold purchase, both players are immediately out the gate with a score of 1-1 and eventually 2-2. Neither player is really directly threatening a bingo at this point in time, but as we can see, that changes pretty quickly. Trudy is able to start setting up the pilot quest progress after pin golf and just start to make progress the rest of the board. Is there a kick glove goal on here? Yes, we Rock World. And one of the things that players I think did a really good job of in this week in particular is synergizing their gifts with games on this card with goals that were just get the gift but not like spelled out directly. Being able to identify that synergy and basically work on 2 spaces at once was something that players were definitely able to do this week, which Trudy is doing here. And does look like they were attempting to get the Bushido ball win the first matches every character, but Thumpus just kind of beat him to it. As we saw while I was talking about that, they were both working on it, but Thumpus got in there first and was able to make a lot more progress on it. So eventually, we do see that we do see that Thumpus was able to grab the UFO from Seaside Drive, which is a fairly consistent goal if you know when the UFO spawns and stuff. But can kind of take a while. Thankfully, both players, like, looking at this board, there's a lot of kind of longer and also specific knowledge intense spaces here, which I think contributed to the players having a little bit of a harder time getting into this board. But as Thumpus is starting to push the middle row bingo, we see one of the goals that's definitely been giving players a lot of trouble this season across pretty much every tier. Campanola 3 reach Egg Saber with only firing forwards. Basically means you can't use the other button to fire sideways at all, which you do surprisingly often in regular Campanola 3. You don't really notice how much you do it until you can't do it, I guess, but one of the hardest parts of this goal, as I'm sure anyone can attest to who's practiced this goal, is the boss of Stage B, which typically you use the side fire to like give yourself a little bit of breathing room between the fists that like slowly close in. But you unfortunately can't do that in this goal, so you end up having a pretty weird like navigation of like moving up and down and stuff. So because of that, Columbus wasn't able to get past that, and they hop into Pilot Quest, and we get a head-to-head of trying to beat Unktomi. Obviously this is a pretty important square for both players, but Trudy has significantly more progress on it, and I think just wanting to get Pilot Quest set up to work on that, Thumpus pops in and then pops back out. I don't know exactly what the review is for. I was trying to read what Vanilla was saying in chat, but I couldn't figure it out. But either way, the point stand it looked like, and Trudy Fruity was able to grab Pilot Quest and also get the gift for defeating Unktomi. And suddenly, even though it looked like Thumpus was at a pretty big advantage in terms of pushing the middle row bingo, sometimes all it really takes is one block or one snipe to suddenly flip the entire match around. And now Trudy is pretty aggressively threatening this diagonal bingo. This is like the one quick Lords of Disconia goal. And Rakshasa score 25k is also pretty fast. And even though Thumpus had a little bit of an advantage in terms of getting in here in time, we can see that Trudy basically immediately popped in and was able to grab the points that he needed to be able to pick up the space and his first win of the season. Not after a death at 22k, I forgot that happened. So this goal does go on for another round, another couple of rounds, excuse me. I was in here for this game, but I apparently forgot that both players were having a little bit of a hard time. Granted, Rakshasa's hard, so I definitely understand it, but I forgot that this was unfortunately a little bit of a back and forth for both players. I also forgot how close this was, by the way. Thumpus is currently at 24k points, and Trudy Fruity is just firing at any frog that comes in the vicinity, hoping for any amount of points. Eventually gets it, and wins by 1k with 10 minutes left. So shoutouts to sticking in that goal, even though both players were having a bit of a hard time with it. And congrats to Trudy for picking up his first win. And yeah, very well played by both y'all. Okay, so as we recapped earlier on, basically the way playoffs are going to work is the first seed's going to play the 8th seed, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 5, or 3 plays 6, and 4 plays 5. So Adore versus Zuzu, Lizstar versus Agai, Ivan versus Hekaroni, and Grape versus Toots will be the first round of the B2 tier. I believe pretty much every playoff game is happening as of like tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So depending on when you're either watching the stream or watching back the YouTube VOD, pop on Twitch and see all the UFO 50 stuff that's being streamed, because especially Saturday is going to be popping. I know I have my match against Hugo on Saturday, and I'm pretty sure there's like 4 or 5 other playoff matches that gotta happen since then, so it should be fun. Hi Karma, how's it going? Okay, let me put a marker here.
I decided to just paint because otherwise I would just be obsessing over the stupid projects.
Yeah, there's no point in obsessing over the project if you can't do anything. I was gonna say.
Slides are done except for the 2 people for each group that haven't done their individual book readings yet. There's literally nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, I think it's a.
Be able to focus on anything else.
I think it's a good call that you're painting instead.
Technically, this is for my stress
Oh, you're just doing other homework then. You're fine.
Huh?
You're just doing other homework then. You're fine.
Yeah, it's homework.
Oh, I forgot to, forgot to delete the ticker along the way. Sorry about that. If y'all happen to notice we're like a couple of matches in and this ticker hasn't updated, feel free to point it out in chat, because all I gotta do is just like delete a line in this text doc. I just keep forgetting to do it. It's not like the end of the world if I forget to do it, but it does look nicer if it is actually tickering the things that it's supposed to. Also, if we end up having enough time, I might try to get some practice in tonight too.
You can't book an instant ride. That's insane.
It's amazing what I can do when I don't have to do like all 35 games or whatever it is in one night. Alright, so let me put a marker here.
Right?
Ba-na-na. We're here with C tier now. So C tier is also divided up into C1 and C2. And just as a general guide, here is the... Oh, I forgot to get the game VODs loaded. Here is what C1 currently looks like. Goose and Smo are both 7 and 1. Boards of Hand is 6 and 2. And then we have a gaggle of 5 and 3 people, as well as Morses at 4 and 4, and Vanilla at 3 and 5. I know everyone in this tier played each other very hard, so shoutouts once again. I will give a general heads up that the game between AHA and Boards of Canada is not going to have a VOD, because that was the first stream from Winterbit on their new account or whatever. And shoutouts to Twitch for not having VODs enabled by default for some reason. It's not even anything I fault Winter with in any way, shape, or form. It's definitely a Twitch thing. Hi Goose, happy birthday. We will go ahead and get started with Smo versus 10 Dads. Smo was able to pick up an 8-6 majority win, and as we kind of saw a couple of times this week in the higher tiers, both players were basically able to threaten their own opposite side of the board bingo lines, and force each other to both kind of do longer goals that they maybe didn't necessarily want to do. So as we get started on this, both players adopt the tried and true strategy of just grab quick spaces while they're available and then figure out the board from there. We get a head-to-head and combat ants, which honestly I always really like to see. Smo is able to pick that up and go up 4-2 with beating Pinsard. But we do still see both players in there for a little bit longer. Is there another combat ants goal that I'm not seeing right now? Yes. This beat Commando and Commando 2 goal that both players were going for is very tricky, because Commando 2 is extremely difficult. Commando 1 is kind of free. But Commando 2 requires some pretty specific maneuvering and manipulation of the enemies and stuff. But also pretty fun synergy on this board. Well, I'll point it out while I'm here. Normally for this Combat Ants beat Pinsard goal, you have to play the first 2 levels to get to the third one. But since Ants is allowed for this goal, it's also allowed for this goal, which means that you can just use Ants to go straight to Pinsard and beat it there.
I know you've really been having issues with anxiety lately, so
your match against Hannah
really
was
fucked up
also
because
during week
it's
8, same day as my match against Vanilla. Okay, I can pick that one up too, because typically I've just been going off the dock for what were the week 8 games specifically, but especially since we're short on a game VOD for this one anyway, I don't mind going back and watching that one also. So
You're just, like,
at this
standing
point,
outside
both
at night,
players are
waiting for somebody to come
kind of
pick
just trying to block each other and make progress as they can. One of the things that's a little difficult about these
We're all fucking pissed for you.
these tougher boards, and especially in a board where it's kind of hard to get into, you kind of have to start to view the spaces a little more holistically, I guess. And sometimes the match turns from like whatever you can do quickly to just whatever you can do somewhat consistently. And sometimes you can even go a step beyond that and try to force your opponent into doing stuff that you don't necessarily want to do, but you think might trip them enough where you can definitely force them into goals that are maybe not quite as comfortable. And Smo also does that here by getting the 3 in this line and threatening either the Campanella 2 very hard or a Gift Rush. And since 10 Dads is pretty far behind on gifts, I think makes the correct decision to go for Campanella 2, because that will also start to threaten his own bingo line. We do see the the surprisingly common strategy this week of just try to get a threatening bingo so your opponent is forced to block stuff as well. You don't normally get to see a Ben's mode race, which is pretty fun in my opinion. Mortal 1 doesn't always have the best bingo synergy. It actually kind of does on this board, oddly enough, because there's the Ben's mode, or the no Ben's mode 1, and beat 2 levels without killing any enemies 1. So if you are able to combine both of those, you do get credit for both spaces at the same time. Smo's eventually able to grab the enemy's space and block the threat of that bingo, but still has to work on having 50 plus lives. If you aren't super comfortable with point grinding in Mortal 1, this goal is pretty tricky. And it does seem like players were having a little bit of a hard time in it. But kudos to Smo for eventually being able to grab both those and block the last 2 bingos that were really a threat for 10 Dads to be able to pull off here. And that does force 10 Dads back into Campanella. I guess looking at this board, it might have been a decent idea to just try to rush gifts if you didn't want to go into Campanella, but I do understand if you only have 1 gift and you have to get another 7 more, you kind of have to be assuming that Smo's also seeing that and trying to gift rush. Shoutouts to some more Smo Overbold. Trying to rush to get that gold disc. And 10 Dads is able to grab the Campanella space and block that last bingo right before the end of the match. But at an hour 45, the game's over, and Smo is able to win 8-6 at that point. So GG's to both. I know Smo is in playoffs and has already played her first game, so we'll be reviewing that game next week. But kudos to both. This was a good back and forth game. Yeah, I think Smo's a little harder herself for Overbold specifically. Why is Vanilla versus Goose not here? Uh-oh. Alright. There's going to be an ad running in a sec anyway, so let me try to figure out where this VOD is, because there should be this game up. I unfortunately can't super talk about the Hannah vs. Aha game, even though I was watching the game and it was really good back and forth. I guess I can at least pull this up a little bit and y'all can see. this was a really good back and forth game where, again, both players did a good job of threatening opposing bingos and kind of forcing each other into goals. I do want to shout out, while this board's big, there was not a space on this board where players spent more than, like, I guess significantly more than 10 minutes. This one's 10.4 minutes, but kudos to both players for grabbing spaces pretty quickly in this one and forcing each other to respond in time. And I'm like 99% sure both players are in playoffs, so should see more of them coming soon. Okay, let me run this ad really quick, and then I'll try to figure out where the VOD for Vanilla versus Goose is, and then I'll also grab the VOD for Goose versus Hannah. The VOD expired. Is this still the VOD channel? Okay. It's not on this one, right? No. Okay. Well, that's a little unfortunate. We were looking for Vanilla versus Goose, but I don't see the VOD on Dom's page. Yeah, it's possible that he recorded it locally and just hasn't uploaded it yet, but unfortunately, until that happens, I won't be able to watch it.
Oh, Lovebug, can you... Sorry to ask this, but can you shout out Churro in my chat?
Oh, yeah.
You guys, I want to just shout out...
Well, I'm gonna shout out Churro in my chat, too.
To pay for some vet bills for her cat Summer.
Listen to Bud.
Her kitty Summer is having a hard time, and she has like $2,500 in vet bills to pay for. Last time I looked, the typical was up to like $1,700 out of the $2,500. But if anyone has anything to donate towards that, she's one of our good friends on Twitch. We've been following her forever. We love Summer the cat. I know a lot of you love cats as well. And yeah, I just wanted to give her a shout out in case anyone wanted to contribute towards that. Even like $5-10 goes a long way.
Yeah.
I just know we have a lot of cat people in here. And,
Okay, so it looks like Dom uploaded it, but it's still processing, so let's just push that one to the end.
just kind of wanted to give her a shout out. She's having a hard time. Kitty having a hard time. She's having like kidney problems and having a hard time like being able to go to the bathroom and stuff. And it's just a rough time for someone with Kitty. So yeah, just wanted to give them a little shout out. And I know she would do the same for us if we were in a similar situation, so just wanted to point y'all in that direction if you're able to help in any way.
Yeah.
If not, that's okay.
Okay, so good news. Dom is uploading the VOD of Goose versus Vanilla now, so we'll just check back on this one in a couple of minutes and try to refresh it then. And I did also pull up Boards of Canada versus Goose, so that should be up pretty soon. Until then, let's just go ahead and go in order, I guess. And we will... Did I grab the wrong game? Did I grab the wrong board? No, I did not. It's Bosco versus Zachary. I did not mean to grab Aha versus Zachary. One sec.
We started printing out some of her PowerPoints. Nice.
Yeah, that was week 7.
Remember that printing them out with 9 slides of page is too small? Oh yeah. Sometimes you can
One
get away with
more
4 slides a
second,
page,
sorry.
depending on how much they talk about each slide. But a lot of times I like to do 2 slides a page. If I can. Oh, 6 is still a lot. I'll usually do 4 unless they talk like a lot on one slide.
So I wanted to do a week 7 recap, but I was still recovering from a sinus infection and I didn't get around to it, unfortunately. I'm going to try to be a little more consistent about it next season because I unfortunately had to take more than 1 week off of the recap. But October kind of hit this household a little hard, to be honest. So, yeah, unfortunately it was a little difficult. Okay, so I'm a little worried that Vanilla is also having the same issue that Dom had, where since it wasn't highlighted, I'm not entirely sure if we have the VOD for this. Thank you, I appreciate it. I just I know people were actually looking forward to like the weekly recap, so I want to make sure that we're trying to do those as much as we can. Okay, so we have Stan, Augite, and DDG. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair too. I just always feel bad when I miss it out. Okay, so I was gonna recap this game as well, but I'm not sure if Vanilla highlighted the VOD either. So yeah, because the last one after 6 days ago is last month. So we'll pull the Audible again and just pull the board up. Yeah, I imagine Vanilla has a local for it, but I also imagine that they're not up right now. So unfortunately, I don't have a local recording of this one. Looking through Vanilla's Twitch channel, it's the same thing that we were running into with Dom, where after 7 days it wasn't, if it's not highlighted, it's not kept. So if we end up needing to recap this game with a VOD recap later, we definitely can, but Bosco was able to pick up an 11-6 bingo win, where once again both players did a pretty good job of threatening their own bingo lines. It looks like Bosco was actually able to block this bingo line before this line even started, actually. But makes sense because this bingo line was starting. And yeah, unfortunately we don't have the VOD footage for this one quite yet. But it definitely looks like Bosco was able to pretty efficiently grab that bottom bingo. Again, it's kind of tough to tell if Zachary was working on just grabbing spaces and stuff. It looks like Bosco was able to pretty comfortably like disguise this bingo by working on other stuff. The B in Bosco is for B tier and bingo. The B's pulling double duty. Good job. But yeah, we will try to watch that one back when we actually have the VOD for it, but it doesn't look like it was uploaded quite yet, which is fine. But one we do have the VOD for is DDG versus Nitro. So Nitro was able to pick up a 9-9 bingo win. As you can imagine, both players went pretty back and forth in this game. The final square being marked off is the center square is always pretty interesting, but can sometimes happen with diagonal bingos especially. Interestingly, you don't like super see it super often outside of like diagonal bingos where the last square is the center square, but yeah, so if there is a game that y'all need to just kind of watch in its entirety from really any week, this is definitely up there. This game is lots of fun, and I don't super know if the recap is gonna do justice in terms of like how fun it actually was, but if you watch it back, you'll definitely understand why. But even just in terms of score, speaking on the strategy side of things here, the players did a good job of basically just going back and forth with their each player's getting a goal and kind of countering with the other player getting a goal. There were a pretty decent amount of quick spaces on this goal or on this board, and it sort of just depended on what the players were comfortable with. Yeah. If you talk to a lot of players in the league, especially players that were in the league in Season 1, you'd find a surprising amount of players, even in like higher tiers, that would say the DDG is their like favorite person to watch in league play. And I'm counted in that group because DDG always is a blast to watch play. And definitely like not just because the silly stuff, but like he does actually like play well and have some fun strategies and stuff.
Fixed it.
I think it was close because DDG was high, I'm gonna be honest. Meanwhile, Nitro is working on onion delivery in reverse. I've personally had a little bit of struggles with this goal in recent weeks, where this is still probably my favorite bingo goal in terms of like how much it like changes the gameplay and stuff. But if you get a little unlucky in this goal and just even get like far deliveries from each other, this goal is hard. And one of the main things about this goal is that you can't take jumps to get time boxes, and you can't go fast enough to heal. So whatever health you have is the health you have until you pick up another delivery, and whatever time you have is like the only time that you're gonna get, and some of these spaces can be pretty far away from each other, especially if you get cordon heights like at all in your delivery.
It's been so long since I drew this that I can't even tell.
But eventually is able to pick that up. DDG is also able to pick up the Mooncat and Big Bell Race goals.
Choco Bell Race.
Yes,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Nacho Bell Grande Race.
Why you just made me want Taco Bell?
Sorry.
It's fine.
Actually, I'm not sorry because yes.
It's almost like you did that on purpose.
I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, but I always crave Taco Bell. And you never do, so.
Well, since
See, Taco Bell, I can make anyone crave Taco Bell. Sponsor me.
since your tummy now hurts for Del Taco, I have to kind of suck it up and just have Taco Bell more. So once again, shout outs to both players for going back and forth in this game. Neither player super directly threatening a bingo at this point, because I think even Nitro doesn't super want to push the diagonal, just because 3 gold discs on this card is potentially not super easy depending on your comfort in these games, but is at least making a little bit of progress in Barbuda, and especially if you're gonna stick in to try to defeat the Mimic, you might as well stick in to try to get the gold disc also. DDG marked the Big Bell Race goal like 4 times. That's really funny. In DDG's defense, that Big Bell Race goal is difficult to track even if you're not high. But shout out to just chilling and playing some Quibble Race. As you can tell by the preview, Quibble Race was a little tough on both players, but Nitro was able to do what we call a Nitro hold now. Nitro's made a little bit of a name for themselves, even in higher tiers, for aggressive holds and being able to disguise bingos while setting up other stuff. And we can see here, based on their gameplay, that they are trying to set up the column 5 bingo. Unfortunately for them, DDG's been straight chilling in Quibble Race for a little bit, and happens to be the exact square that DDG needed to be in order to not get bingoed here. We do see the the rage double mark out of everything, which is really funny. But might as well try to stick in for the Quibble Race gold disc, even if it's not an actual space on the board anymore, just because you're gonna need 3 at some point anyway. And it makes sense for Quibble Race to be one of those. Like, it doesn't make sense to like grind Quibble Race if it's not like working out, but you might as well give it a shot. And after grabbing the gold disc, Nitro does pop into Valbrace to try to collect this Zweihander.
Ah!
Sorry.
I don't know why that scared the shit out of me. I'm sorry.
I don't know why that
I'm jumpy as shit.
That's fine.
Well, because it was right behind me and I needed it to move.
Okay. I guess that makes sense
Didn't
why I
mean to
didn't
move it in
know
your
if
way.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's fine.
It was in my way, so I moved it in your way. Duh. No, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
That's fine. So unfortunately, DDG isn't able to see the diagonal to block it. It's sometimes a little difficult to see a diagonal forming when the center square is not marked still, because it doesn't actually look like there's spaces connected at all here. So DDG unfortunately doesn't even attempt to pop into Valbrace here, and is instead just working on other goals here, which gives Nitro just enough time to be able to figure out where the Zweihander is and figure it out.
You're not turning on your work laptop.
I just
No.
I just see Smo in
Go
chat. DDG, please,
What time is it?
Gray.
7:53, that means it's 8:53 for you. No. Oh, you just said 9 p.m. Yeah, no. You're not fucking turning on your work laptop. Even if you're not going to bed right now, you're not fucking working. No. No.
Yeah,
Vex.
the Valbray's struggle is definitely
That idea.
a little tricky.
That is not what we're doing right now.
Everybody in chat is so excited that DDG finally got that Big Bell Race goal, and that's hilarious.
You're welcome.
But yeah, trying to collect this Zweihander is pretty difficult because
Like, you don't
you have to
necessarily need
do
go
a
to bed, but
pretty
you're
decent
definitely
amount
not
of
turning on that
grinding
work laptop.
in floor 2 to be able to
You should
access
go to
it
bed soon.
eventually.
By like 9:30.
Um,
But definitely no workies. No. We don't do that at
Yeah,
home.
eventually
Definitely don't
with
do
the
that.
extra time that Nitro was spending in Valbrace to try to win the game,
That's
DDG
not
was able to
a good
actually come
idea,
back in
Maxie.
points and go up 9-8, but then eventually ended up being going quote unquote, did I win? DDG. That's hilarious. I did see other people in the chat suggesting that Nitro could have popped into BBR to grab that space while DDG was having an issue with it. It's sometimes worth it,
Love the work
but
ethic, but
I definitely understand just trying to go for the
not
bingo
at this
anyway.
time.
But even watching the recap of that is hilarious. Okay. Yeah, I think if it would have helped push any kind of a bingo line at all, it would have made sense. But it didn't really impact either player. I mean, I guess theoretically you could have also pushed this bingo line, and if you knew where the breaks were and could summon Star Wasper stuff. But that's a bit... Yeah, I was gonna say that Big Bell Race goal is definitely brutal, so I don't blame you for trying to skip past that for sure. Alright, next up is Vanilla versus Goose. Is this game up yet?
Also, Vex, if this helps you in any way, I went to
Okay,
bed early last
not
night.
yet. We will save this one for a little bit longer. Let's do Hannah versus
That was
Goose
sometimes
first.
before 10.
So Hannah versus Goose was another one of the matches that had a pretty direct line. Players were very aggressive about pushing bingos this week for playoff reasons and just to try to get through games quickly. Every single space on this board is really fast, and it doesn't surprise me that these were the first spaces marked off. I'm very lucky that I always get bored so I can complete a bingo, considering how many goals I cannot do at all. Yeah, that's kind of one of the funny things about bingo is, like, there's a lot of goals that I think even, like, higher tier players, like, either haven't practiced or just haven't, like, even thought about practicing, really. But your comfort with the other squares and reading bingo lines and knowing how good those timings are can kind of help overcome
Also, I'm
that
trying
a
to work
lot
on my
in this.
sleep schedule / circadian rhythm.
So as we get into Hannah versus Smo, a pretty quick oh, sorry. It said Hannah versus Smo. It's Hannah versus Goose. As we get into this one, we see... Wait, Wait, why did we see that?
Well, we don't wake up at the same time.
Sorry, I wasn't planning on actually recapping this game because it's in week 7, but since I didn't do the week 7 recap and it was played this week, I think it makes sense.
And I read that if you let yourself sleep in, it should like an hour past when you normally wake up.
I am not sure why we're in a tactic.
Like 7:30 on the days where I take 6 hours.
Oh, right, because this is the game where... I forgot about this, okay. So, during this game, Hannah was starting to work on center square of a different board, but there were some tech issues where Goose wasn't actually appearing on stream and they had to get a new board. And the new board, we have Rail Heist as the center square, and beating 5 levels of Rail Heist without any other conditions on it, like at all, is a very, very fast goal. And Hannah, in the meantime, is able to identify the Diver's Gift and just getting under par on 5 courses in Pin Golf. 10 journal entries is also really fast. I think there's a lot of squares on this board immediately that are extremely quick, and depending on your comfort in the games, it can go by very, very quickly. Like even by like the Quickle standards.
He would just come in bed and start like grooming my hair.
Yeah, I was in this match and I remember there were tech difficulties after I skipped in a little bit.
I really wish I was
But it was a little confusing looking at this board and not seeing the boards match, so I guess I gotta make sure I'm looking out for that in the future.
I don't know how people just break rules.
So
You're not supposed to have one.
early into this game, the score is tied 3-3, and there is pretty, like, it's not like immediately obvious that either player is like pushing their bingos at this time. There's the column 3 and column 4 bingos that are possible to do right now, but it kind of just looks like both players are settling into goals that they know that they can do, and or can do quickly in this. I will say that this board definitely has a lot of like pretty knowledge heavy stuff, and like all of the goals are like pretty either deep into the game or require some pretty deep knowledge to be able to do quickly. But after a quick gift rush and starting to push that progress into divers, we do get head-to-head divers, and tied 5-5. This diver's goal progress definitely would make or break the game. If Hannah was able to grab this square, they'd be able to then threaten the bottom row bingo of their own. But as we can see from the score, Goose is extremely comfortable and we're able to just grab this goal pretty much immediately. I believe, if I remember correctly, Divers is a comfort game that Goose just hasn't really gotten to play very much in bingo outside of this one. So kudos again for pushing a bingo that is maybe not like each player's like most typical bingo, but one that your own personal comfort goes fast enough where you're able to grab that really quick is very impressive. So GG's to both players. Both players are in playoffs. I don't remember if either of you have had your matches yet, but definitely looking forward to seeing what happens in these games, because I think C1 is kind of playing out of their minds right now, to be honest. I know tier B1 tends to get the hype for quote-unquote lower tier hype stuff, but C1 has definitely been playing really, really well this season, and definitely has a lot of players that will probably be in B tier / be in B tier again. So excited to see where it goes from here. Okay, I'm gonna try to refresh this one more time. Hopefully it's up now. Okay, it's still processing, so I guess I'll just leave this one up and we'll try to come back later, because I do want to try to cover the Vanilla versus Goose game. But in the meantime, we'll just go ahead and leave that up and move on. So this is the tier standings for tier C1. Goose and Smo are both 7-1. Boards of Hanada is 6-2. Aha, Bosco, and Nitro are all 5-3. Shoutouts to Nitro's all 5 bingo wins, by the way. It's very impressive regardless of any tier that you're in. Also, shout out to Goose's 100 pronouns apparently on this board. That's supposed to be total points. But 100 total points in any tier is ridiculous, so good job. So Bosco, Nitro, and Aha are all 5-3. Morzes is 4-4, and Vanilla is 3-5. So GG's to everyone who made it into playoffs. I believe there's been 1 playoff game so far, and we'll be reviewing it next week, but definitely looking forward to seeing what the rest of it brings. Okay, I now hope that all of these Twitch side VODs are actually up for C2, because I made this a couple of days ago and they were up, but I think it just depends on if the casters made these as actual highlights or if they made them as just VODs. Remembering that 13 times 8 is 104, having a 100-point differential across 8 weeks is wild.
I didn't even know they made those for birds. Possible, I got specifically for that. What, for when I get blood drawn?
Okay, so it looks like all of the C2 VODs are still up and fine. So that's good at least.
They don't even have anywhere to go. That I sleep with.
Okay.
And then I have like 2 Squishmallows right next to me on the couch, and I
Ba-na-na,
have
ba-na-na.
on top of one of them.
We are here for C2. So, the final tier of UFO 50 Bingo, Season 2. Shoutouts to everyone in this tier as well for playing very well this season. Just as a general preview, Parchment ended as the first seed at 8-1. Hugh, Firelion, and Van Strummer are all 6-2. Crumble is 2-5. Dave is 5-3. I'm not sure how that tiering worked out, if I'm being honest, but If Dots is 3-6, and Augite is 2-7. And Julie ended up having to resign halfway through the season, which is why she's down there. But we'll go ahead and get into the games to see what happened this week, and then we'll try to come back for Vanilla versus Goose at the end. Yeah, I'll check the actual doc. I have like a personal copy and stuff, where I can like take all my notes and stuff, because it's a little easier for me to sort. But we'll check the Season 2 doc here and just see. Yeah, okay, so this one's more accurate. Parchment, Hugh, Firelion, and Van Strummer are all 6-2. Crumble's 5-3. Dave is 4-4. And If Dots and Augite are 2-6. That looks more right anyway, so. Yeah, C2 is fun. One of the things that I've really personally liked about doing this recap is it's forced me to watch players across every tier level. And C2 is our newest tier in terms of like trying to introduce more people to the league and stuff. And I think in C2 you saw quite a lot of growth throughout the season from really everyone, but especially the teams that made the playoffs got a lot more comfortable reading boards, getting through goals, and yeah, Hugh's in C2, so Hugh meet Nitro, Nitro Hugh. So first game up, we have Parchment versus Sleepy. Parchment was able to pick up a 9-5 bingo win with another diagonal bingo. I feel like we saw a lot of diagonals this week. And another diagonal, another game that involved the Big Bell Race goal that seems to be in every board lately. So Parchment at 5 and 2, quickly grabbing the two diagonal squares, and already pretty immediately threatening this diagonal bingo line here. I believe also grabs the other two diagonals as well, if I remember, but not before grabbing Magic Garden and also starting to push this bottom row bingo. Even in C2, you're definitely seeing the similar strats of grabbing squares that link together into bingos and forcing opponents to just try to respond in kind, I guess. Bug Hunter Day 7 can sometimes be pretty tricky, by the way. It's not the easiest goal. Sleepy's kind of cracked in Mooncat. Did I skip past Mooncat? No, we haven't gotten to Mooncat yet. Yeah, so I think one of the nice things about even C2 is that players are still definitely like very good at the game, and maybe you just don't have like the most experience with bingo itself or like all of the games yet. But the games that C tier is good at are still very impressive and fun to watch. And as was alluded to, Sleepy's Mooncat is pretty smooth. This is where Parchment rides the struggle bus. Yeah, so I've mentioned before, but I guess I haven't mentioned recently. The tactics goal of trying to score 1,000 points in survival mode is sometimes a goal that goes fast, but obviously it's kind of a big time commitment, like per individual attempt. And if you end up getting pretty far into an attempt and then wiping and having to start over, it is obviously a pretty big time investment. In some games that can end up costing and stuff, but given the general board presence that Parchment's already been able to put up, he's able to grab a little bit more time in this to work it out. But as was mentioned, the Mooncat play here is definitely pretty clean and efficient as well. So eventually able to grab that survival mode goal, as Sleepy is able to counter with beating 8 levels in 3 games and grabbing 3 gold discs, and effectively blocking the bottom row bingo, which may have been the one that Parchment was originally going for. And now up by 2 points, but not really having a ton of stuff linking. I think both players are kind of in a similar spot. It's okay. You don't need to be a fast painter every day.
I'm not saying I need to be fast, I'm just like exceptionally slow today.
Sleepy went from losing 4 to 3 because picking slow goals to being like the secret killer. Yeah, so I think that's one thing that I noticed a lot in Season 1 for myself, and I think C2 maybe noticed the season for themselves. the more you play bingo, the more you get used to identifying goals that like you can do, and identifying goals that you can do, and also knowing that you can do them quickly and or consistently enough that you're able to just do them the way that you need to do them. And I think as we get towards the end of the season, whenever we have like new players and stuff, you definitely start to see players really efficiently start to link stuff together. And into Season 2, you'll start to see that a lot more as well, or into your own Season 2, I think players will start to see that more. Just as you get more comfortable in more games, more boards start being like doable for you, and you start to see fewer and fewer boards where you're like, wow, I can't do a single space on this board. Or you don't know, like, it's a board of like games that you know pretty well, but you haven't practiced the bingo goals for, so you don't know that this bingo goal was actually like a 20-minute goal if you don't know it. You start to kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that you ran into. For example, I remember in my Season 1, I don't even know if this is a Season 2 goal anymore, but in Season 1 there was like an impact beat stage, or like beat one of the late stage goals or whatever. And I went into that like right after my opponent did, and that was when I thought like Ninpet Gold Disc was still like something that was like good to go for in bingo. And saying that in Season 2, I'm sure would get me a lot of side eyes, because I don't think I've seen Ninpet Gold Disc like once this season. But I got sniped on that goal in like some game in Season 1, and was like, alright, I learned my lesson. And then like my entire like perception of what bingo goals were fast and what weren't switched, and then I suddenly started playing a lot better. And I think a lot of players tend to have that moment later into their first season, from what I've seen.
I'm not here to judge.
We do, by the way, get to see some pretty solid Vanger play, and like an extended amount of Vanger play in bingo, which is always really nice. I feel like Vanger is kind of not a super popular bingo game, where like it does have a lot of fast things to do in it, but because the map is so big and because navigation is sometimes a little difficult for players to wrap their heads around, you don't see it as often as like a pin golf or a Campanella or something, even though it is like sometimes just as helpful. So shoutouts to being able to see extended amount of play here. And even though Parchment is eventually able to go in there, Sleepy does bank that progress that he was making and be able to grab the force mod. And at this point is only down by 3 points. And while there are a lot of like kind of scary goals left on the card, like it's definitely not like too far behind Parchment at this point. Parchment does have a little bit of a hard time trying to get onto the board with either Avianos or Big Bell Race, but is eventually able to do that. But after, this is like the first attempt. I feel like Parchment wasn't in Big Bell Race like at all before that. But Sleepy did eventually... Okay, so it did end up taking a little bit longer. But because Sleepy wasn't in Big Bell Race, basically just able to unmark the square for free and try it again, and then was able to grab the space. And win 9-5. Both players played really well this game. Sleepy did a really good job of blocking the bingos that he needed to block, and unfortunately just wasn't able to do that Big Bell Race goal. And then Parchment did a good job of threatening bingos pretty much the entire time and pivoting around really well. Okay. Next is Crumble versus Ifdots. Crumble was able to pick up a 9-8 majority win. Both players, again, were able to identify some spaces on this board that were quick, as well as spaces that they felt comfortable doing. There is synergy with
Like,
Puzzler
would you say that
and beat
cheese
9
cake was
sectors in
made
a
of
warp tank,
cheese?
even though it's kind of long goals. And still good synergy that you can kind of stack up onto each other. And as we get farther into this
That's
game,
not cheese.
players
I mean,
again
cheese
just
named
aiming to
cheesecake,
grab
but
the
it's not cheese
gold
cheese.
goals that they need to do.
It's cream cheese. No, it doesn't have cheese in it. It's cheesecake cheese.
No?
No, it's not. CCO agrees.
Sorry, Bun was getting very impassioned about that, so I had to...
It's not like American cheese, cheddar, Gouda, brie. Cream cheese is not cheese. I will die on this hill. Just because it has the word cheese in it does not make it cheese.
Yeah, it's definitely cream cheese, which is not cheese. I think we're all in agreement on that one.
You agree?
Yes.
Yeah, Theo agrees. Theo will die on this hill with me. Sorry, Vex, we love you, but this is a hill we're dying on.
So, a couple of minutes into this game, Crumble's able to pick up a 3-2 lead. Both players are grabbing spaces on the board that effectively block each other's, like, quote-unquote imminent bingos.
Like, you can put
There's
it on
not
a
really a lot of,
sandwich,
like,
sure,
imminent bingos
but
forming at this point in the game, but also this is one of those boards that, as a lower tier player, would be pretty intimidating to even get into. I also did just now see this warp tank healing sector synergy, so there is actually triple warp tank synergy on a board.
too versatile to be cheese.
As a warp tank fan, I am a fan of triple warp tank synergy.
You can put it on a
I
bagel,
feel like I kind of
which is
like to
gross,
hop into
actually.
warp tank any excuse I get, just because playing
you
it
can put it
fast
on a
is fun.
sandwich. You can put it in a cake. Too versatile to be cheese. Laughing cow? No, I laugh at laughing cow. I don't know what it is.
I laugh at the laughing cow. And then as this match starts to go on a little bit more, If Dots is starting to threaten the column 2 bingo, which forces Crumble to try to learn the Mortal 2 10 keys route. If you've not practiced the Mortal 2 10 keys route, it is a very, very hard goal.
What are you getting at?
If you've practiced it, it's fairly consistent, but still a little awkward. But I think seeing that Crumble then pivots out to try to make progress elsewhere. Both players kind of hit a snag of trying to make progress on goals. If Dot's able to eventually grab the 9 sectors in Warp Tank, as well as beating Healing Sector, as well as getting the progress in Puzzler. And then eventually able to tie it up 4-4. Again, this is a board that if you are not super comfortable in some of the games, it is very difficult to get
no other cheese
further.
goes in that. Cream cheese is its own, like, section. Its own, what's the word I'm looking for?
Cream cheese is considered a cheese like mascarpone, but with one extra ingredient.
Okay, well it has its one extra ingredient that makes it not mascarpone. It's its own category. That's the word I'm looking for.
I wasn't expecting the Crumble versus If Dots commentary to be just is cream cheese.
This is a very Twitch conversation.
It sure is. Why don't you wade in the YouTube comments, figure out if cream cheese is cheese, and
You
we'll
think
come
cream
back
cheese
next
is
vid.
cheese? Is this a hill you would die on too?
We'll read out our favorite comments next time on stream. Just kidding, because I'll probably forget.
I'll never forget.
Bun's gonna make me go back to my YouTube comments and be like, did anyone ask about the cream cheese? Because
Okay, it's cheese related, but it's its own category. There's no other cheese like it. It's a very unique cheese that no other cheese is like. It's not comparable to any other type of cheese.
This cheese conversation's throwing me off a lot for this recap portion. So eventually Crumble is able to start to push this diagonal bingo, as well as defeat 7 bosses and start to push this bingo. We do get to see some Quibble Race wild bets, which actually goes pretty quickly. Quibble Race can sometimes be a little mean in terms of
Like,
the
sure, cream
wild
cheese
bets.
is a type of cheese, but cheese is not cream cheese.
And now that both of these diagonal bingos are being threatened, if either player feels comfortable trying to push those, that would be the main line for Crumble to win / if dots to block. I think at this point both players are just kind of more concerned with trying to get the spaces on the board that they feel comfortable going for. Able to grab 3 gold discs as Crumble is able to win the first match with every character in Bushido Ball. And then players are now attempting to go for the Friendship Bracelet in Campanella 2. While If Dots is playing some Block Koala. Once again, this is a board that is pretty difficult to figure out how to navigate the spaces in, but doing a good job of remembering that she had the Warp Tank progress from earlier in the game, and finally catching that in near the end of the game, and just trying to grab whatever quick spaces are still available to try to tie it back up and or eventually win. Meanwhile, Crumble is trying to do the same thing and just keep the 1 point of advantage.
Who knows? That's the fun. I tried to call
That's
and get an
fine, Hugh.
acupuncture appointment, and she
I'm
called me
gonna
back
let
and
that
told
conversation
me that
move on if I'm being
one of
honest.
their acupuncturists is on maternity leave, and they have no appointments available. But to call back later in the week.
Crumble is eventually able to grab the 10 keys, and at this point, If Dots is able to just barely
Yes, I've
squeeze
seen that
in
one.
the
Yeah, I love her. She's
Overbold
how
gold
I've been
disc.
feeling this entire week,
It's
actually.
always a little
So
tense
close.
when you are
No.
near the end of a match to try to squeeze in the end of a game as well. But with a powered up gun and 144.22 on the clock, If Dots was able to
When they just start
bring it
putting, like,
within
all of them
1.
in the same hole.
And honestly, for as tricky of a board as this ended up being, I think both players did a really good job of navigating it and trying to get into spaces and get them while they were available. And
Like, why did they all just fit
if
in
this
that
game
hole?
went on a little bit longer, I'd be curious to see where this game actually went. But shoutouts to If Dots for 4 gold discs on the card of Velgress, Hotfoot, Overbold, and Quibble Race, because none of those 4 are super easy.
I'm sorry I started losing it about cream cheese. It's really not even that big of a deal. I just...
It's fine, you got very heated about it for a
I'm
sec.
not eating a cake full of cheese, okay? I would never touch that if it were.
Alright, next up is Augite versus
I love
Van Strummer.
cheesecake.
Van was able to pick up the 8-2 majority
You know what's funny,
win
though, is, like, I love
and
cheesecake, but I hate
threatened
cream
some
cheese on
bingos
bagel. I would never eat
and some pretty hard
Every
bingos
time
at
I
that.
think I'll give it a try again, nope, hate it.
So let's go ahead and watch the VOD. I think I hold the record for most forfeits
Like, I could
against.
yell at anybody.
It's unfortunate, I'm sorry. But getting into this game, and as you can maybe
I love
tell
cheesecake. I
by
hate cream
the
cheese on
score
bagels.
of the game, Van was able to pretty comfortably control this game.
You can have the whole thing, Vex, because I would not try it.
Augite is able to immediately reach Lieutenant in ranked mode and then pop into Party House to try to beat a random scenario, having purchased the maximum amount of old friends and rich pals. This goal can sometimes be a little tricky, and unfortunately did give them a little bit of trouble. And
My Tom did not care for that.
pretty quickly into this game, Van is able to build up a 4-1 advantage and either force Augite into a Hyper Contender gold disc or just try to revive yourself 6 times in one run. Van is seeing those two options and choosing to grab the UFO rush, which does kind of lock Augite into an attempt at Hyper Contender. Truthfully, both the Rakshasa revive yourself 6 times in one run and gold disking Hyper Contender are pretty long and risky goals. Van does attempt to this just to try to get the bingo, as Augite then switches over to Lords of Disconia to try to win the first mission. Technically an easy goal, apparently, but one that can still kind of take a while just because of how long Disconia games take. The way Augite's been talking, I don't know if they would have been happier letting Sleepy take their spot in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I will, I guess, mention that if that was something that Augite was interested in, there were resignations in both A tier and B1 tier, which moved people up, but definitely understand if they are motivated to try to go into playoffs, just see what happens. It looked like they were playing fairly well in the games that they needed to play and just maybe not getting the luck that they needed here. And that can sometimes be a little demoralizing, and being locked into the difficulty of Rakshasa, the randomness of Party House, the difficulty and randomness of Hyper Contender at times can definitely be a little demoralizing just based on how this game went. And up 8-2 and threatening 2 different bingo lines. I don't blame Augite for I guess forfeiting this one and not being able to make the progress, just because they looks like they had already attempted every goal. Did a tactics for the hell of it. That is cool. I do like seeing a tactics in league play, and especially seeing as much a tactics as that to be able to get the gift is pretty rad. So GG to both players. Van did a good job of identifying the goals that he was able to get and pretty efficiently getting them, and doing the same thing that we've talked about kind of a lot, where he was able to threaten a bunch of different bingo lines at once and then kind of frazzle and overwhelm while just kind of working around the board to try to grab whatever spaces he felt like he wanted to grab at that point. And Augite did a good job of hopping into the games that they needed to hop into and trying the goals, and just didn't have the luck go their way this week, it looks like. Okay, so the final game of C2 is A Beautiful Dave versus Hugh, and we'll try to check back on that other game as well. He was able to pick up a 5-3 bingo win. Once again, we see a player identify a bingo line that they are comfortable with and just push the heck out of that bingo line. I think players did a very good job at that in this week in particular, because we saw this a couple of times in every tier at this point. You don't normally see this many like 5-point bingo wins in a week, so I did kind of want to highlight that, because that is something that is pretty rare but also pretty cool.
The cream cheese conversation.
So getting into this, we'll see how this started. It's always fun to see a Guri cast where a Devolution center square is there. So I know Guri is pretty obviously a Devolution / Diabolica enjoyer.
Sounds good.
And as we get into the game a little bit, we can see that Dave is on the board first with defeating the Stage B boss in Campanella, as Hugh is starting to work on a little bit of the diagonal here after spawning 3 different sets of egg blocks and then popping into Paint Chase, and just making a little bit of progress on that. I missed if that was all of the progress that was needed, and he's just holding it. But one of the nice things about the level select codes, really in any game, but especially in Paint Chase, is that you can always just come back to these levels if there were a level or two that you didn't actually complete or whatever, and then just have the advantage. We saw it a lot with Block Koala this week, where players were able to grab the advantage that they needed early on and then move on. But we can see here that this is actually a hold instead, to try to make a little bit more progress towards this diagonal line. Which, looking at this diagonal line, this is actually a pretty tricky diagonal line, so kudos to Hugh for being able to identify this as a line and push for it pretty quickly. Yeah, I always just have to kind of confirm that it's actually a hold in it and just miss something, but this tends to happen a lot, where players will grab a space and complete that space, but then not mark off that space right away. And it is always a little risky to do that this early into a game when a player hasn't marked off a space in a while, because you never really know what they're going for. But in this specific instance, he was able to use that advantage pretty well, and to basically just be one step ahead of this goal the entire time, and then start to make progress on gifts, as he's already grabbed the Devolution square. Meanwhile, Dave is actually theoretically working towards that Devolution square right now, just based on the way the bingo line has lined up so far, tied 2-2, and both players theoretically needing the center square. Hugh able to take advantage of that and use the timing of it to be able to block that bingo and also obviously make progress on his own bingo. Being forced to take the 70% in camouflage a little early. Well, actually not a little early, because now I see that there's 7 gifts here, so instead actually using great synergy to be able to grab the gift in camouflage on the way to 70% completion in the library, which is basically just another 30% or whatever past the 33% for the gift. And I've mentioned this in a couple of times in the recap, but since I just learned this goal, I'll point it out again. 70% in camouflage feels like it's much farther away than it actually is. And especially if you know the movements, every level of camouflage is just one screen big, and Little Lizard can move pretty fast sometimes, so. I sometimes hold spaces for so long that my opponent marks them 45 minutes later. Yeah, it happens. I've only done pretty minor holds in some of my games, to be honest. But it is pretty fun to be able to actually do that sometimes. And the wonders of camouflage are that, much like Paint Chase with the level code thing, you can back out and check your progress as you go. Dave, unfortunately, at this point, is pretty far behind. Presumably thinks that he has enough time to be able to catch up here and make this a direct head-to-head camouflage. But unfortunately for Dave, we can already see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of camouflage progress here, and should link back up to the regular gold disc route fairly soon. And really at this point, the gold disc route plus like a couple more oranges along the way should be enough for 70%. And as we see from both the results and the rest of this match, Hugh is able to take that advantage into the end of the game. Okay. And yeah, very good game. I'm not sure. Dave seemed pretty close on catching up there, but because Hugh identified that he could just get the 33% in camouflage, should be able to grab that along the way of getting 70%. And was able to just take that advantage into the end of the game and grab that last 30% and go from there. Not sure what else to super say about that. Dave did have a good job of setting up these initial early bingos, but he was pretty on top of that anyway and was just able to block both of those with holds and also able to just get the spaces that he wanted to get along the way. And yeah, pretty cool to end the season with such a hype head-to-head of bingo stuff. Both players played this game really well, and both are in playoffs, so we should definitely see more of them pretty soon. Okay, and Vanilla versus Goose is still processing, so we'll just watch this one later, I guess, because I don't want to wait for this VOD to process, if I'm being honest. So, with that, as a review of the C2 playoffs, it's going to be Parchment versus Augite, Hugh versus Ifdots, Fireline versus Beautiful Dave, and Van Strummer versus Crumble. Should be a pretty great game for all of C2. Yeah, a little unfortunate that it's stuck in processing, but whenever it's up at some point next week, most likely we'll watch that one back because it looked like a pretty good game. So here are the matches that are in the works. I'm not sure why A tier is tripled up here, but as we can, I'll go ahead and I'll hide this a little bit. As we can see, there's only been one playoff game so far with Smo and Warzus, and everyone else is playing in the next couple of days, basically. Oh, right, best of 3. I forget that all of A tier is best of 3, and then it's just finals for the other ones. So we mentioned this in the A tier recap, but I guess I'll bring it up again since Steve and I forgot. All of the A tier matches that are in playoffs, as well as the, I'm pretty sure it's B tier and C tier finals, if I remember correct. I know it's definitely at least B tier. I forget if C tier also has it too. All of those games will be best of 3. So we'll see at least 2 games of Kana versus Spooty, Flick versus Matt, Cosmo Wing versus Uncle Slam, Red Robot versus Canvas, and if they split those games, obviously we'll see a third one. It's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be a little bit more of extended bingo action than we're maybe used to. But the first game for these is going to be tomorrow evening for the best of 3, and then pretty much every night after that. Meanwhile, we have a bunch of games coming up on tomorrow, Saturday. I don't think we have a ton of games on Sunday yet, actually. Looks kind of funny that everyone's loading up their games on Saturday but not Sunday. But should be fun either way. I'm looking forward to it. Playoffs last season were incredibly hype, and everyone who's made playoffs definitely deserves it. And should be a pretty fun game, I think, across every tier. So stay tuned to the UFO 50 section of Twitch. Before I switch off of the recap, I do want to also remind that we are having signups for the Underground Bingo Tourney Season 2. For those that weren't here in Season 1, this is a tournament that we ran in between, like right at the end of playoffs / in between the season, where players were able to do Pick'em Bingo / Draft Bingo, where you basically pick which games that you actually want to see on the card. This season we're going to also be able to ban play games that you don't want to see from your opponent or whatever. And then the entire card will be made up with those games specifically, and or general goals, I think, that can apply to those. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, it's a cross-tier tournament and should be pretty low-key and fun. I'm helping run it with Winterbit and Nixel and Curry. So feel free to sign up on the Google Doc. Signups end as of 11/9, so I believe Saturday night at midnight, I believe, is the last day to sign up. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to join in and play some bingo and not have the stakes of having to commit to a full 8 weeks or whatever, this is a really good way to get into it, especially since you don't even have to be quite as comfortable at every single game as you do in regular bingo. If you only have 10 games that you've even played, but you're super confident in those games, just show up with that game list every week. Obviously you'll still have to also play some of your opponent's games too, but this is a really good intro for players, especially if you don't have as extensive of overall game experience, but you still want to try UFO 50 bingo in general. This is a really good one for you. I mean, I'm going to be honest, as long as you know Golf Area, that's a really good game to pick anyway, because a lot of the Golf Area routes kind of build off each other pretty well. Yeah. So I think we have successfully capped through week 8. I think I'll probably take a quick break and then come back with a little bit of bingo practice before I wrap up for the night. I'll most likely just do a daily bingo or something, because I'm a couple of days behind on those now.
Well, yeah, that's bullshit.
And I need to get practicing and stuff, because I play Hugo, and it's going to